Thank you, Council Leader. I'm sure that we in the Labour Group fully associate ourselves with everything that has been said so far. In reflecting upon the legacy of Her late Majesty the Queen, I would like to focus on two aspects of her life that are so significant to us here in Moray. Much has been written in recent days about Her late Majesty's affection for the north east of Scotland. Like many members of this council, including myself and thousands of other residents in Moray, the late Queen was not born in the north of Scotland. Instead, like so many of us, she came to this area as a visitor, or in my case, in the forces to work, and in many ways made it her true home. The ways in which our neighbours in Aberdeenshire took to Her late Majesty into their hearts as one of their own will reflect the experience of many of us who chose to make the north east of Scotland our own homes, and that bond of friendship reflects both the warmth of the late Queen as well as the affection of the people of the north east. Much has been said about the late Queen's dedication to the armed services, which is of course a central part of our community here in Moray. My own sole encounter with her late Majesty was during my time in the Royal Navy, serving aboard the HMS Eagle in 1969, when I was a member of her Queen's Colour Guard. My number one dress uniform had never been so pristine, my shoes were never so polished, my blue collar never quite so pressed. But Her late Majesty looked up you up and down. The sense of terror felt by the very young sailor immediately melted away upon sight of that infectious smile we have now heard so much about. It is easy to see why Her late Majesty was so beloved by our armed forces communities. As we mourn the passing of the Queen, we also acknowledge the accession of the new King. His Majesty has been serving the country for 70 years as Duke of Rothesay and Prince of Wales. Some of us here in this chamber are old enough to remember how many of the causes championed by His Majesty were seen as being somewhat eccentric, fringe issues like biodiversity, sustainable food supplies and climate change. His Majesty acknowledged in his address to the nation that he cannot champion these causes in the way that he once did. He doesn't need to, as they are now at the top of the political agenda. And we in the Labour Group would like to acknowledge the role that His Majesty has played in bringing these issues to the fore. Council Leader, to conclude, I propose that the best way that we can honour the legacy of the late Queen is to all embrace the spirit of service which she embodied. May she rest in peace, and God save the King.